Today's game features Carlsen, Magnus playing as white against Shimanov, Aleksandr as black. Move 0. White pawn to e4. Black pushes forward to d5. White pawn captures the pawn on d5. Following opening theory, black responds with queen removes the pawn, creating a solid foundation. White completes minor piece development. Meanwhile, black queen moves to e5. Checking the king, white develops the bishop naturally, creating long-term pressure. Black activates the bishop early. White pushes forward to d4. Black bishop snaps off the bishop. Move 5. White knight takes bishop on e2. At this point, queen to a5. With check, white pushes the pawn to c3. Moving forward, black develops the knight to f6. It's white's turn. Knight to f3. Black pushes the pawn to e6. White secures the king early. Black plants the bishop on d6. White advances to c4. Black pawn moves to c6. We're at move 10. White brings the knight to c3. Black now plays kingside castling. White seizes the open file with the rook. Black repositions the knight to d7. White pushes the pawn to c5. It's black's turn. Places the bishop on e7. White advances to a3, preparing to break through. Black slides the queen to c7. White advances the pawn, preparing a breakthrough. Black pawn moves to b6. Move 15. White places the bishop on f4. Black now slides the queen to b7, building a space imbalance. White pushes to b4, preparing tactical blows. Black pushes to a5. White rook shifts to b1. Black pawn takes the pawn. White pawn takes pawn, building a powerful attack. Black rook invades on d8. White repositions the queen to c2. Black reroutes the knight to f8. Move 20. White pawn moves to h4. Now, knight jumps to d5, improving the pawn structure. White deploys the bishop to g5. So, black advances to f6. White develops the bishop to d2. Black responds with knight captures knight, moving closer to victory. Continuing, queen takes the knight. Black deploys the rook to d5. White king moves to g2. Black plays rook moves behind the passed pawn, with time becoming a factor. On move 25, white rook to a1. Needing to find moves quickly. Black plays pawn moves to e5. White pawn takes pawn. Black pawn takes pawn. That doesn't look right. And here, white deploys the queen to c4. Interestingly, black bishop to d6. White knight takes pawn, bringing the pieces to ideal squares. Mindful of the clock, black deploys the rook to c8, eliminating counterplay. With time running out, white knight jumps to f5, a textbook endgame technique. Black king to h8, activating the most important piece. We're at move 30. White moves the rook to a7. Black queen captures the pawn on b6. White rook snaps off the pawn, an inaccuracy. Black activates the queen in the endgame, a blunder. Racing against the clock. Next, white queen shifts to g4. What a fantastic find. Moving forward, black activates the knight, in severe time trouble. White continues with rook snaps off the pawn. Checkmate is unavoidable in 3 moves. And check, forcing a response. Black continues with king captures the rook on h7. On the brink of losing on time. White responds with repositions the queen to h5. This creates a forced mate in 2. With check, so, black steps the king to g8, with almost no time remaining. Move 35. White queen captures the knight on g6. Check. A stroke of genius. Black continues with king walks to f8. Playing in extreme time pressure. White continues with activates the queen in the endgame, checkmate.